Morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us for our regular Durham County Board of Commissioners meeting this April the 14th, 2025. I will get us started with the public charge. The Board of starting to recite it from memory because I haven't even opened it. The Board of Commissioners asks its members and fellow residents to please conduct themselves in a respectful and courteous manner, both with the board and fellow residents. At any time, should any member of the board or any resident fail to observe the public charge, the chair will ask the offending person to leave the meeting until that individual regains personal control. Should decorum fail to be restored, the chair will recess the meeting until such time that a genuine commitment to the public charge is observed. Commissioner Jacobs, would you like to read the land acknowledgement?
Thank you. As we convene for the Durham County Commissioners meeting, it's crucial to recognize the painful truth of history. We stand on the stolen ancestral lands of the Catawba, Eno, Occaneechi, Shakori, and Tuscarora peoples, whose deep connection to this land predates our arrival. We acknowledge with humility the unjust displacement and violence that occurred, leading to the dispossession of indigenous peoples from their homelands. Their resilience in the face of such adversity is a testament to their strength and spirit. May we humbly honor the ancestors and elders of these nations, both past and present, by committing ourselves to fostering understanding, healing, and justice for all who inhabit this land. Let us walk forward together with open hearts, acknowledging the past and embracing a future guided by compassion, respect, and unity.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobs. Vice Chair Dr. Lee, would you like to lead us in the pledge? Thank you, Vice Chair Lee. I will now pass it to Clerk Wallace for announcement. Oh, no, we'll ask for agenda adjustments first. Any agenda adjustments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Valentine, second by Vice Chair Dr. Lee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is adopted. Now to Clerk Wallace.
Good evening, everyone. I'll read the announcements published in tonight's agenda. Our budget department is looking for young Durhamites with the knack for art that want to be featured in this year's budget book. Youth pre-K to 12th grade design an image that showcases what is your favorite part of Durham County to be featured on the cover of the fiscal year 25-26 budget book. Other submissions will be used throughout the book. Download and print an entry form, which is in our agenda. You can also submit it. There is a link there, and submissions have to be in by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, April 15th. Most Durham County government offices will be closed on Friday, April 18th in observance of the Good Friday holiday. Our offices will reopen with normal business hours on Monday, April 21st. To see impacts to certain services, you can visit the dconc.gov website. Durham County young women in 9th and 12th grades are encouraged by Durham City County Emergency Management to apply for the North Carolina Emergency Management Experience, a free 5-day public safety career exploration running from June 23rd through the 27th at the North Carolina State Emergency Operations Center in Raleigh. The sessions include field trips, career building connections, hand-on experience, and more. You must apply by April 21st, and there is a link for applying as well as to ask questions. The Little River Community Complex Fair returns to the Durham County Memorial Stadium parking lot through Sunday, April the 20th. The fair runs from 5 till 10 p.m. on weekdays and 1 till 11 p.m. on the weekend. The mission of the Little River Community Complex in Bahama is to provide recreational, educational, health, and social activities for the people of the Little River region and surrounding communities. Admission tickets, food, and ride tickets will be available for purchase at the stadium located at 750 Stadium Drive. You can watch the latest edition of In Touch with Durham County show from the Public Information Office. The April show features guest County Manager Claudia Hager and Commissioner Michelle Burton. You can watch it on the county's YouTube channel. Are you a health advocate in your community, and do you enjoy learning and helping others? You can combine your interests working in the African American community and improve health in Durham by joining the 5-week Durham County Community Health Promoter Training. Upon completion of the program, you will receive $200 in community networking opportunities. The session will meet on Tuesday and Thursday, May 20th through June 26th via Zoom from 5:30 till 7 p.m. You can contact Adia Lynch. There's an email, and you can also call at 919-560-0501 or BOCC. There is also an email, and you can call 919-560-7720. That concludes the announcements in tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Clerk Wallace. I'll bring it back to the board if there's any additional announcements. Okay, hearing none. Then we will move to the approval of the minutes for our March 10th regular session. Are there any adjustments to the minutes, or I'll entertain a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Valentine, second by Commissioner Burton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay. Minutes are approved unanimously.
Chair Alam, I'm sorry, that was the March 24th minutes.
March 24th, yes. Thank you. Now we will move to the ceremonial items, starting with the Fair Housing Month. I will pass to Commissioner Jacobs.
Proclamation for Fair Housing Month 2025. Whereas the Fair Housing Act, enacted on April 11th, 1968, enshrined into federal law the goal of eliminating racial segregation and ending housing discrimination in the United States. And whereas the Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, familial status, national origin, and disability, and commits recipients of federal funding to affirmatively further fair housing in their communities. And whereas Durham County is committed to this mission and the intent of Congress to provide fair and equal housing opportunities for all. And whereas our social fabric, the economy, health, and environment are strengthened in diverse, inclusive communities. And whereas more than 50 years after the passage of the Fair Housing Act, discrimination persists and many communities remain segregated. And whereas acts of housing discrimination and barriers to equal housing opportunity are unacceptable to a common sense of decency and fairness. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Nida Alam, Chair of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 2025 as Fair Housing Month in Durham County, North Carolina, an inclusive community committed to fair housing, to promoting appropriate activities by private and public entities, and to provide and advocate for equal housing opportunities for all residents and prospective residents of Durham County, this 14th day of April 2025.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobs. And do we have Sharon Sunkel here? Sunkel, if you'd like to come to provide any comment.
We just all asked coming from the Durham Board of Realtors, that we get continued support from the county commissioners. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any additional comments from the board? Commissioner Jacobs?
Well, Sharon, if you could bring back to the board, Regional Board of Realtors, that we express our gratitude to you all for being part of a public-private partnership, and that we're all in this together. And we know that housing and access to safe, affordable, fair access, equitable access to housing is essential for everything in our community. So we appreciate you advocating for this. Thank you.
Any additional comments? We'll now move to the second proclamation, which I'll read. The Durham County Board of Commissioners Proclamation, Durham County Second Chance Month 2025. Whereas Durham County Government and its Board of County Commissioners have been supporting reentry and rehabilitation efforts in Durham County for more than 30 years. And whereas in 2017, Durham County joined with the Department of Adult Correction to create the Durham Local Reentry Council, and whereas annually nearly 6,600 individuals cycle through the Durham County Detention Center, and whereas in 2024, the Department of Adult Correction released 459 individuals from incarceration returning to Durham County. And whereas North Carolina has joined Reentry 2030, a commitment spearheaded by Governor Roy Cooper through Executive Order Number 303 that commits to systemic changes, learning new innovations and best practices while connecting and collaborating with experts and leaders to transform the reentry system to support reintegration for every person. And whereas effective reentry programs offer the chance for a better life to those who return from our nation's corrections facilities, and whereas it is up to all of us working together to emphasize the importance of these programs and policies that make such a positive and lasting difference, not only to the individuals served, but to the communities in which they return. And whereas Durham County recognizes that April is Second Chance Month, a time dedicated to recognizing the collateral consequences of a criminal record and advancing efforts that promote fairness and access to opportunities for people who have been directly impacted by the criminal legal system. And whereas Durham County Board of County Commissioners joins the effort to highlight the value of local reentry programs and calls upon the community to support their work. The investments we make today through resources we dedicate and the enthusiasm we generate will greatly benefit the returning residents and the overall public safety in Durham County. Now, therefore, I, Nida Alam, Chair and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 2025 as Second Chance Month in Durham County and urge all residents to join in recognizing how important it is to help justice-involved individuals positively transition to become law-abiding and productive members of society this 14th day of April 2025. Thank you. We have Director Roshana Parker and her team here.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair, County Commissioners, and Madam Manager, and County Attorney. I'm Robin Heath, the Assistant Director with the Justice Services Department, and we want to thank you for this proclamation in recognizing the many challenges that justice-involved individuals face as they reintegrate into society in our community. The Justice Services Department appreciates your ongoing support and has since we first started our reentry work, which, while the Local Reentry Council was started more recently, we had our first reentry program and started work in 2001. In many ways, Durham has always been on the forefront of criminal justice work and should be proud to continue to do so. I'd like to introduce you to Ontario Joyner, our Local Reentry Council Coordinator, who will talk about some of the events that we have planned.
Good evening, everyone. As Ms. Heath stated, my name is Ontario Joyner. I am the Reentry Council Coordinator for Durham County. This month, we have a list of events that we're hosting that are all kind of geared towards the justice involved population here in Durham. Starting tomorrow, actually, we will be hosting a employment resource fair at the Durham County Library, the downtown location, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's open to the public. If you know of individuals who could benefit from that particular resource fair, please encourage them to come out. We have about 15 different employers that will be present. So we're excited about that, giving our clients that we work with closely an opportunity to gain employment. Employment is one of the barriers that many individuals face as they return home from incarceration. If they're on an active case of probation and parole, employment is one of the major barriers that everyone who comes through our doors express to us. So we want to make sure that we're addressing that barrier in a timely manner and giving them a fair opportunity. Also, on the 16th, we'll be doing a resume building seminar with motivational speakers. That'll be in the evening, starting at 6:30 at our building, which is 326 East Main Street, the Justice Services Department building. Also, on April the 24th, we will be doing a diabetes education seminar in partnership with Durham County Public Health and the FIT program. At that particular event, we'll have various education speakers speaking in regards to diabetes prevention, diabetes maintenance, and also we will be conducting A1C testing on site, completely free to individuals, and that also is open to the public. So if you know of anyone who could benefit from that particular program, please encourage them to come. That'll be held at the Human Services Building, and that one will be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll have light refreshments, door prizes, things of that nature. So it's open to the public, the justice involved population specifically, but we encourage everyone to go out if you can get A1C tested. Also, we'll be doing another daytime resume building seminar on the 30th of this month, and that too will be held at our building, 326 East Main Street. At that particular event, we'll be doing mock interviews, resume building in partnership with Higher Skilled, where individuals have the opportunity to get a digital resume completed. So yeah, those are some of the major events that we have left for the rest of the month. Also, we'll be collecting backpacks and hygiene products to the end of the month. A lot of times our individuals who are released from incarceration, they're released unfortunately with just realistically a trash bag to keep their personal belongings in. So this is our effort to kind of address that barrier as well, along with hygiene products. All donations can be made to our building, once again, 326 East Main Street. If you're donating a backpack, we have a bin at our main entrance. You can just come in and drop it off. They'll let either myself or one of our team members know that the book bag has been dropped off. Hygiene products can be placed in the book bag, or you can just donate hygiene products. So those are all the events that we do have. I do want to say, as we kind of interact with different individuals and different organizations on the local level, as well as on the state level, and in some cases on a more national level, they speak really highly of the work that we're doing here in Durham as it relates to reentry. And we try to make sure that we let them know that we are just a mere reflection of Durham County government, Durham County leadership, as well as the community of Durham. So I sincerely appreciate everyone's support as we kind of navigate this reentry space. So once again, thank you.
And you all can see why I waited till the end. So thank you so much for having us this evening. We appreciate the proclamation because every year we do a host a lot of events for Second Chance Month, but this is what we do every single day. It's not just about the month of April. We like to highlight some events in April, but this is what we do day in and day out. We are always available to provide wraparound services and support for justice-involved individuals, and we appreciate the support that we get from the county and this board to allow us to do this work. So thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry, and let me not forget to introduce one of our other staff with the Local Reentry Council, our case manager, Ms. Rashida Royster. These are the individuals behind the reentry work. They work very hard, tireless, day in and day out, and it's never a Friday at 4:55 that they don't get a call from somebody needing something, and they are ready on call. So I appreciate their dedication and hard work to never say, call back on Monday. They will stay and do what needs to be done to get that person whatever services they need. So I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Director, as well as your entire team, Robin, Rashida, Ontario, for all of your work and service. I did have a question since we're on this topic. Does the reentry program, does that begin and I'm asking more, for community knowledge of after an individual has already left the jail, or does it begin the process while they're still incarcerated?
It really depends on the individual. We always say reentry begins at entry. As soon as a person enters a facility, whether it's the detention facility or a correctional facility, that we should be working with that individual and the case manager to prepare them to reenter. And so it just really depends on what facility they're in and the level of service or access you can have to that individual. But we would love for it to begin at entry.
Thank you. And if there's other ways that we as a Board of Commissioners can support you in making sure that it begins at entry so we can support our residents as much as possible. And then also I know this is really focused on this specific proclamation is focused on adult correction, but also with the youth home, I know there's a little bit more restrictions when we're talking about our youth, but if I know we have county staff that are also working within the youth home on different reentry programs. We're hoping that there's a strong opportunity for collaboration there as well to support.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any other comments? Commissioner Valentine?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So, Ms. Parker, thank you to you and your team for being at the tip of the spear regarding reentry. Reentry efforts and second chances, I believe, are consistent with the values of this county. And we thank you for all you do with our community partners and making a difference in the lives of individuals, families, and communities, because the work that you do really does make a difference. And so, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Burton?
Yeah, I just want to echo what my colleagues said. Thank you so much for doing this work and making sure that the residents know how much it's needed. I also want to say, kudos to doing the A1C testing. I had a relative who was a physician in one of the correctional facilities across the state, seeing patients who were incarcerated, and that was one of the biggest things was type 2 diabetes amongst people who are incarcerated. So thank you for doing that. And we can just donate items, the book bag with toiletries and stuff anytime?
Anytime.
Anytime,
Right
okay.
now, we have a bin set up in our lobby where it's labeled. You can put book bags and hygiene products, but we take them year-round anytime. If you just walk into our front lobby, the receptionist will collect the donation. And as it relates to the A1C check and just healthcare in general for this population, I want to take, again, this opportunity to thank Ontario, because as most people think about reentry, they think about housing and employment being the two main things, but the healthcare is also really important. And so helping individuals find access to healthcare and identifying specific needs or specific issues with this population, Ontario is very keyed in on that, and he played a major part in making sure we did this collaboration around the A1C check. So he is really looking at holistically all of the wraparound services that are needed for this population.
Yeah, that was good to do. So thank you so much.
You, Commissioner Jacobs?
Just want to say ditto on everything that's been said. I'm always so proud of our amazing Justice Services Department. Thank you, all that you do. That's so transformational in so many ways for people in our community. I just wanted to ask if we could get the schedule included in our minutes with the announcements. Just a reminder, since I don't think that was in the announcements today, so just a reminder to everyone about all the great events happening. Again, thank you so much.
You're welcome, and we will send an email of the events to the clerk.
Thank you all so much again.
Thank you.
We now have a proclamation for Elizabeth Catlett Days in Durham County that Commissioner Valentine will read.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome back. Proclamation honoring Elizabeth Catlett Days. Whereas Elizabeth Catlett, a world-famous painter, sculptor, and printmaker, was born on April 15, 1915 in Washington, D.C. And whereas, after graduating from Howard University in 1935, Elizabeth Catlett took a teaching position in Durham, North Carolina, which was her mother's hometown. And whereas Catlett taught art at Hillside High School and at several of Durham's elementary schools for 3 academic years. And whereas Catlett's innate sense of fairness caused her to criticize the system of lower pay for black teachers and advocate for salary equalization. And whereas, even with the assistance of Thurgood Marshall, the NAACP, and the recently formed Durham Committee on Negro Affairs, Catlett was unsuccessful in equalizing teachers' wages in Durham. However, perhaps Catlett's consultations with Thurgood Marshall may have played a role in Marshall's equal pay victory in the landmark Fourth Circuit case of Austin versus School Board of Norfolk, Virginia in 1940. And whereas in 1938, Elizabeth Catlett moved from her teaching post in Durham and entered graduate school at the University of Iowa, and a direct tutelage from the artist Grant Wood. And whereas the National Gallery of Art is currently hosting a major exhibit at Catlett's work in Washington, D.C. Now, therefore, I, Nida Alam, Chair, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 7th through the 15th, 2025, as Elizabeth Catlett Days in Durham, North Carolina, this 14th day of April, 2025. Signed, Nida Alam, Chair, Durham Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioner Valentine. And do we have, yes, we have Mr. Eddie Davis here.
Yes, thank you very much to the commissioners and to the staff of Durham County. I want to make sure that we all know the significance of Elizabeth Catlett. The art community across this nation recognizes it to the point that there is as Commissioner Valentine just mentioned, there is an exhibit at the National Gallery of Art in Washington of her work. It was at the Brooklyn Museum before going to Washington, and it will stay in Washington until the summer when it will go to the Art Institute of Chicago. So we want to recognize her great work. The wonderful thing is that she once was able to breathe the air of Durham County. As was mentioned, she worked at Hillside and at several of the elementary schools. She also lived on Dunbar Street and worked at Hillside, but not the Hillside that we know today. That was the Hillside that we know many of us refer to as the Whitted Building. At one point was called the Hillside Park High School. So she did good work here in Durham before moving to Iowa. She was very, very conscious of the equities and the inequities that faced people, not only in the art world, but also in the teaching world and in other aspects of her life. So I want to thank you for this proclamation. I want to also recognize that there were several people here in Durham who have helped to try to make the Elizabeth Catlett Days a reality. I want to focus in on Dr. Brenda Faison, who is the director of the art department at North Carolina Central and the director of the North Carolina Central Museum of Art. Recognizing that the Elizabeth Catlett Days were coming, she had a mini exhibition of the holdings of Elizabeth Catlett that the North Carolina Central Art Museum has. And she, of course, had that exhibit back in from mid-February to mid-March. Also, last Saturday, there was a program at the Stanford Warren Library that was an exhibit of her work through film and a very hearty and robust discussion of her work. And on tomorrow at Hillside High School, the Triangle Park chapter of the Links Incorporated will present the accompanying book, the book that accompanies the national exhibit of of Elizabeth Catlett. She will present that book to the Hillside High School Library. So thank you so much for being a part of Elizabeth Catlett Days, and thank you so much for the continued cooperation that we receive from the Durham County Board of Commissioners.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Davis. I see Commissioner Burton would like to provide comment.
Yes, I just want to acknowledge Mr. Eddie Davis for always keeping us informed about the important Durham history. You're a retired educator just like me, so we have this bond. And so when I was getting prepared for the meeting, I began to read more about Elizabeth Catlett, and I like this lady. I really like this lady. First of all, we have a couple of things in common. She went to the University of Iowa. My brother is a graduate of the University of Iowa. And she studied under Grant Wood, and that's one of my favorite artists because as a child, I know growing up in Chicago, I went to see his famous painting, American Gothic, at the Art Institute of Chicago. And so I've always been enamored by that painting. So I appreciate you for sharing this with us, and I want to get this book as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jacobs.
And I also want to thank you, Eddie. I consider you to be Durham's resident historian. So thank you for always making sure that we are celebrating people that we need to celebrate here in our community. And as Commissioner Burton said, as you continue to educate the community, and I too went to Wikipedia to read about Elizabeth Catlett and her amazing life. So I encourage everyone to take the opportunity to do that. Also, her Mexican-American heritage and studying with people like Diego Rivera, yes. And she's really had an incredible life. So, again, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Valentine?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Mr. Davis. Mr. Eddie Davis.
Yes, sir.
let me begin by thanking you for your own service to our community. I couldn't miss that moment.
Thank you.
And thank you for keeping the contributions of members of our community in the arts, in the center part of our minds, particularly at a time when in the African American community, our history is being erased in many regards. And so thank you for having the courage to stand. And I'm hopeful that I'll be able to stand with you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. That is a very important point. Many people are keeping their eyes open to this exhibit of Elizabeth Catlett work in Washington, D.C. at this point. There have been some who have speculated that there would be some pushback from the administration, the national administration, particularly since they have put forth a proclamation criticizing the Smithsonian Institution and other institutions in Washington, D.C. and across this nation. So thank you so much for being aware of that, and let's all keep our eyes open on this exhibit and other things that we want to make sure flourishes. Thank you.
Vice Chair Dr. Lee.
And I just wanted to echo what my colleagues are saying, really for you bringing this and others, but just you yourself, Mr. Davis, you are important to us. You're important to Durham, and your knowledge and history and the conversations we've had, over the years about just different things, I just greatly appreciate it. So it's really good to see you here, and it's really good to see you continuing to push the knowledge and history that we need to have as governing members, but also community members here in Durham, for those we may not know. So thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, but it's all about Elizabeth Catlett.
I understand.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Mr. Davis. And I want to say, as we're talking about lifting up the people who have made Durham the community that it is today, I know you mentioned that they're going to be presenting the book to Hillside, but I'm wondering, and throwing it out there, maybe ACM Tammy Hall, that we could see, I'm sure, if we put Mr. Eddie Davis and Mr. Carter Q together, they could come up with some amazing Durham history events that maybe at our other public libraries with Durham County, to make sure that we may already be in our public libraries, but if we can have the book placed into the libraries, and as well as looking at the other Durham public schools, getting her book into their libraries as well.
Thank you, Chairwoman. It's interesting that you mentioned Carter Q, because he was one of the pivotal people at the meeting on Saturday and was a dynamic presenter. Thank you.
now move us to our next proclamation that Commissioner Burton will be reading.
Thank you, Chair Alam. So, Durham Board of County Commissioners Proclamation, Black Maternal Health Week 2025. Whereas Black women nationwide, regardless of income or education level, are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from preventable pregnancy-related complications, and Black infants are 2 to 3 times more likely to die during their first year of life. And whereas the maternal mortality rate in North Carolina doubled between 2019 and 2021, exacerbated by the global pandemic, while North Carolina maintains the 11th highest maternal mortality rate in the country. And whereas 39% of Black women in North Carolina receive late or no prenatal care, compared to only 24% of white women, meaning they are less likely to be diagnosed and treated for pregnancy-related complications such as diabetes, high blood pressure, and fetal conditions. And whereas as many as 50% of Black women experiencing maternal mental health disorder symptoms fail to receive adequate help. And whereas 1 in 5 babies in North Carolina are birthed to Black women, so this issue is consequential for our entire community. And whereas Black Maternal Health Week was founded by the Black Mamas Matter Alliance to increase awareness around the state of Black maternal health and promote activism and investment in solutions. And whereas research demonstrates that the services of diverse birth workers, health advocates, community organizations, and healthcare providers are a crucial component of eliminating disparities, enhancing Black maternal safety, and improving birth and health outcomes. And whereas we recognize and uplift community-based responses to addressing this crisis, and we promote initiatives that reduce Black maternal morbidity and mortality, such as doula services, midwifery services, peer support, mutual aid, and mental wellness support. And whereas Black women deserve to have beautiful pregnancy and birth experiences with access to care of their choice through being empowered and resourced to make informed decisions based on their needs. And whereas we acknowledge the urgency in addressing the Black maternal health crisis in Durham County and across North Carolina. Now, therefore, Nida Alam, Chair, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 11th through the 17th, 2025 as Black Maternal Health Week. Durham, North Carolina, this 14th day of April 2025, Nida Alam, Chair, Durham Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioner Burton. And do we have Ada here? Ada, to receive the president. Okay, she's not here. Okay, are there any comments from the board? I'd like to just, highlight and recognize, obviously this is such a vital and important, but also lift up, you may not serve on this board anymore, but Commissioner Burns, who was such a staunch advocate and really championed the county's Black maternal health efforts during her tenure. So I'd want to just recognize her for all of that work and make sure that we carry on that passion that she carried within Durham County. Commissioner Jacobs, I'm looking at you, but I'm not calling.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate Ada Anderson bringing this forward, Duke student and Durham community member. And when I was reading this, what really also came to mind to me was it would be great if we could get the latest data from our public health staff. This has been an investment and a priority for Durham County government and for Durham County Public Health, investing in Black maternal health, some of our ARPA funding. And I would just wanted to ask the county manager if we could just get an update on what the trends have been the last few years and just seeing whether our investments are actually helping.
We can definitely follow up with that.
That would be great. Thank you.
Commissioner Round.
Chair, thank you for acknowledging the work of former Commissioner Burns. She was committed to Black maternal health and very aggressive. And I think it's important for for men to also be a part of this conversation. And I just want to thank everyone who's working in this space to support Black women in Durham County.
Thank you, Commissioner Valentine. Commissioner Burton?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm glad we're, acknowledging this as an issue that needs to be focused on. Reading the proclamation made me aware of, how these disparities affect our children's education. So I'm glad that we're lifting this up and continue to do whatever we can to make sure that Black women have healthy pregnancy. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Burton. Our next proclamation, Vice Chair Dr. Lee will read.
Durham Board of County Commissioners Proclamation, Line Worker Appreciation Day 2025. Whereas the profession of Duke Energy linemen is steeped in personal, family, and professional tradition, and whereas Duke Energy linemen are often first responders during storms and other catastrophic events, working to make the scene safe for other public safety officials, and whereas these brave men and women work with thousands of volts of electricity high atop power lines 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to keep electricity flowing, and whereas Duke Energy linemen must often work under dangerous conditions far from their families to construct and maintain energy infrastructure throughout the state of North Carolina and the United States. And whereas Durham County thanks our historic linemen who supported restoration in Western North Carolina last year. Now, therefore, I, NIDA alum, Chair, on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 18th, 2025 as Line Worker Appreciation Day in Durham County, North Carolina. This the 14th day of April, 2025.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dr. Lee. And I know Ray Trapp, the District Manager for Government and Community Relations, Duke Energy, is not able to be here, but I know he's very grateful for the commissioners for bringing this resolution forward. Any comments from the board?
Yeah, go.
Vice Chair Lee?
So linemen that is an extremely important job for everyone sitting in this room, listening, community around the world. They're often, you often don't think about linemen until something's wrong, until your power is out. And those are the toughest jobs. I come from an IT background, and a lot of times you don't think about IT until something's not working. They literally keep our lives how we expect it. We expect when we hit the switch, the light comes on, and keeps our refrigerators cold and our freezers cold and so forth. So this is a very important profession, and when I was on the school board, we helped to start the program at Durham Tech, feed the linemen's profession there. That is a role that you don't need a college degree. It is extremely important. You can be paid very well. But often our society moves people away from those types of roles, and the linemen are aging, and we obviously need, the more we grow as a community, more we need that infrastructural support as linemen. My Uncle Victor, at Birmingham Power, he was a lineman from high school until he retired not too long ago. And he loved his job. He loved being called in the storms, when the lines went down. He loved that, but it was such an important role. So the reason that I wanted to speak, because I want to put a call out to the community. this is it's a very important and honorable role that we can do right here in Durham. There's a program at Durham Tech, there's a partnership with Duke Energy to train right here kids coming out of high school, and they can essentially write their own ticket. They will always find a job as a lineman. Very important, and I'm really glad that I got to read this, because a lineman is a very important role for our community, along with a lot of other professions. But I'm just really happy that we did this proclamation. It's really important, and please tell your students, tell yourselves that you could get the training and get a job there.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Lee. Commissioner Burton?
Yeah, I'm not going to take long, but I just want to echo what my colleague, Dr. Lee, said about linemen. It's a very good trade. They get paid very well. My uncle was a union electrician in Chicago, Illinois, and we need more young people to go into this work. It's very skilled. You have to do an apprenticeship, things like that, but it's something that's really, really needed, and I really am glad that we have something at Durham Tech that trains individuals to do this work, because again, we don't think about those folks until something goes wrong. So I just want to uplift that. And they do pretty well financially. So, and you don't need a college degree. So yeah, I just wanted to uplift that.
Thank you, Commissioner Burton. Commissioner Jacobs?
I just wanted to add, the day that we were sworn in, a friend of mine who works with Afghan refugees had a conversation with Mr. Trapp, because we are always looking for good jobs for immigrants and refugees to transition into, and they did follow up afterwards. I don't know what's happened from that, but we are also not only looking for good jobs for our students, but also for people from other countries who often come here highly educated and skilled, and also for our reentry residents. And I'm not, in the past, I don't know what the current status of that is and whether there is any type of relationship between Duke Energy and the Justice Services Department. But if not, I hope that that's something that will also be looked at. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Valentine.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee, for highlighting the importance of Durham Tech and their value to our community. Also, I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege and honor my uncle, my mother's brother, Haywood Burgess, who worked for Duke Energy as a lineman for many years. And also to highlight the fact that Duke is one of our big partners here in Durham County. So I'd just like to say thank you to Duke for everything that they do, and also Mr. Ray Trapp for bringing this forward and the hard work that he does on behalf of our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, our next proclamation I'll read for National Arab American Heritage Month. Whereas for Durham County Board of Commissioners proclamation, National Arab American Heritage Month 2025. Whereas for over a century, Arab Americans have been making valuable contributions to virtually every aspect of our community in the United States, in medicine, law, business, education, technology, government, military service, culture. And whereas since migrating to the United States and Durham County, men and women of Arab descent have shared their rich culture and traditions with neighbors and friends, while also setting examples of model citizens and public servants. And whereas they brought with them to the United States and Durham County their resilient family values, strong work ethic, dedication to education, and diversity in faith and creed that have added strength to our democracy. And whereas Arab Americans have also enriched our society by sharing in the entrepreneurial spirit that makes our nation and our country free and prosperous. And whereas the celebration of Arab American history and cultural heritage educates our fellow residents, and counters misconceptions, harmful stereotyping, and shared experiences by other ethnic groups. And whereas they join all residents in the United States and Durham County in the desire to see a peaceful and diverse society where every individual is treated equally and feels safe. And whereas the incredible contributions and heritage of Arab Americans have helped us build a better nation and county. Now therefore I, Nida Alam, Chair, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim March 2025 as Arab American Heritage Month in Durham County, North Carolina, and call upon all residents to observe and celebrate the successes of Arab Americans and to mark this month with appropriate observances honoring the contributions and endless possibilities of Arab Americans everywhere. This 14th day of April, 2025. And we have, sorry, my voice keeps cracking. And we have Cassandra from our Equitable Wellbeing team.
Yeah, we just want to say on behalf of our team as well as Durham County, thank you for acknowledging this in a time when, as has been said, histories are being erased as well as differences are being vilified and amplified. We just want to honor and respect that we have so much to celebrate and that we're so much greater together as a community when we recognize our diversities and all the different beautiful strengths and differences that we bring together.
Thank you so much, Cassandra. And yes, this is such a vital resolution. All of our resolutions that celebrate the diversity of our community are even more important now, more than ever. And especially as we see students being ripped off of college campuses, especially our Arab American students who are here legally either as U.S. citizens, as green card holders, as visa holders, and being detained unlawfully and having their rightful citizenship and legal status revoked. So I really appreciate you and the Equitable Wellbeing team for bringing this, and we can celebrate and also fight back against these injustices.
Thank you.
Okay. Our final proclamation.
Madam Chair?
Oh, Commissioner Valentine, yes.
You turned right when I turned my mic on, but thank you for recognizing me. And so thank you for bringing this proclamation forward so that the Arab American community is, in fact, an integral part of our larger community. And we are better for their presence here in Durham County. And so I agree with you that this is a time when many communities are under attack. And it takes courage. And so thank you.
Commissioner Valentine, you can keep your mic on because you're the next one for the next proclamation.
Yes, proclamation. And I count it a privilege, having worked as a child protective service worker earlier in my career and also as a member of the Board of Social Services, to read the proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month 2025. So whereas children are our state's most vulnerable members as well as our state's most valuable resources, helping to shape the future of North Carolina. And whereas positive childhood experiences like loving caregivers and safe, stable, and nurturing relationships can help mitigate trauma and the negative impact of adverse childhood experiences to promote the social, emotional, and developmental well-being of children. And whereas childhood trauma can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects throughout an individual's lifetime and impact future generations of their family. And whereas childhood trauma, including abuse and neglect, is a serious problem affecting every community, and finding solutions requires input and action from everyone. And whereas children who live in families with access to concrete economic and social supports are less likely to experience abuse and neglect, and whereas nurture positive childhoods and preventing child maltreatment is possible because of the partnerships created between families, prevention advocates, child welfare professionals, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, and local, state, and national governments. And whereas we acknowledge that in order to solve the public health issue of abuse and neglect, we must work together to change hearts and mindsets through storytelling and sharing center the needs of families, break down bias and barriers, and inspire action from expected and unexpected partners. And whereas we are committed to advancing equitable, responsive, and effective systems that ensure all children and families are healthy and thriving. And whereas we recognize the need to prioritize kids and invest in more prevention initiatives like home visiting and family strengthening policies, economic supports, and community-based child abuse prevention programs at the national, the state, and local levels. And now, therefore, I, Nida Alam, Chair, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Signed, this 14th day of April 2025, Nida Alam, Chair, Durham Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioner Valentine. And we have Director Maggie.
Hi, thank you very much. I appreciate the board recognizing this. In 1974, that was when child abuse became a federal law in this country. So it is not, it is something that is quite new to this country. I wish that we did not have to have this as part of our jobs. I truly wish that we did not have any child in the United States or in the world that was abused. We wear blue, I wear blue today, because I don't believe that children should be abused and they don't have the voice to speak up. And we have to speak up for them. Everyone in this room is a mandated reporter for child abuse. Tonight, my staff, as every night and every weekend, are out in the field, not with their families, but making sure that other families are safe and other children are safe. And they also deserve the respect that comes with that. It is a hard job, and it is a job that some people target, and it is not fair to the staff of Durham County to be able to receive that, because they are just doing their job, the job that all of us in this room are doing every day in the different aspects of our work to make sure that children are safe. And so as we honor this day for child abuse prevention in this month, we also have to honor the work of the staff that do it, because they got into this because they wanted to keep children safe. And they continue to do that even though it takes them away from their family and the things that they want to do with their life. I'm going to turn it over to Lavelle Chesney, our program manager over our CPS Child Protective Services unit, who's going to speak. And we have a few more events coming up. I want to thank her. She has done a tremendous job this month in honoring Child Abuse Prevention Month and making sure that we have different activities for the community and our staff to participate in. And we also have some child abuse prevention pins for the board that I'm going to give to you, Commissioner Burton, and you can pass around. Thank you.
Good evening. Child abuse prevention is something that is very near and dear to my heart. It is a career that I have dedicated 25 years to, and it is an honor to be able to continue that here in Durham County. This month, my staff with Child Protective Services, Investigations and Assessments, along with the staff of my colleague Chantel A. Smith of Child Protective Services and Home and Prevention, planned a month of activities. We kicked off Child Abuse Prevention Month on April the 2nd with a kickoff event that was held in the Health and Human Services courtyard, where we planted pinwheels and we took a symbolic walk around the building to stomp out child abuse within our county. We also participated on Friday, April 4th in our National Wear Blue Day and encouraged all of our staff to wear blue and also to post pictures on their social media with the hashtag Child Abuse Prevention Month and DECO Goes Blue. Our next event was on last Wednesday, where we had a lunch and learn. The theme of this year is Powered by Hope, Strengthened by Prevention. So our Child Protective Services, Investigations and Assessments, and CPS In-Home, along with our community partners from Durham Public Schools, Welcome Baby, Healthy Families, Book Harvest, and the Heart Team had a robust conversation on how we all can work together to prevent child abuse. We will continue our event on Wednesday the 16th, when we have what we call a Durham County Family Pledge Day, where all patrons coming into the Health and Human Services building, whether they are a parent, a caregiver, or just a community citizen, can sign a pledge that all children will be safe in their company. And we will finish our month with a day of service on Wednesday, April the 30th, when our staff from Child Protective Services and CPS In-Home will volunteer to feed families and children at Urban Ministries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to the entire DSS team, and thank you, Director Clapp, for starting and reminding us. I think it's so important for the community to hear again and again that this is work that is not easy, and this is work that nobody wants to have to do. But I know that you and your entire team come to Durham County every single day with love in your hearts and care for the children and all of the community members that face our Durham Social Services Office with love and care. So know that y'all are appreciated and valued by this board, and we greatly appreciate all of the ways that you go above and beyond to service our community, and oftentimes take that work and that weight home, and don't necessarily have a space. So I hope that you also take care of yourselves and find support in the ways, whether it's exercise, therapy, family, community, to lift that weight off of you, because no one should have to carry that every single day.
Thank you. We try.
Commissioner Jacobs and then Commissioner Valentine.
Well, first of all, I want to say I miss you guys. I truly do. Has been one of the honors of my career as a county commissioner to serve on the DSS board for 12 years. And I know you're in good hands with Commissioner Valentine, but I really do miss being a part of the DSS team and the incredible work that you all do every single day. It is, as has been said, it is very difficult work, and it takes very special people to do the work that needs to be done to keep our children safe. And I also appreciate the fact that DSS does try to support families and focus on prevention. And I love the collaboration that you just spoke about with different organizations, and that's also really important. But child abuse is real. Unfortunately, we see stories in the news about it on a regular basis. And so it's something that we all have to, as you reminded us as well, it's all of our responsibility to report any type of concerns about child abuse. So again, thank you for all of these great activities all month. That is on top of what you're doing every day. And again, we appreciate you, and I miss you all.
Thank you.
Commissioner Valentine?
Yes. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Director Clapp. I count it a privilege to be one of your colleagues on the board. Social work is a calling, and so thank you for answering that call. I know firsthand that protecting children is difficult, and sometimes the community has many misunderstandings about the work that you do to ensure that our children are safe. And so I have a profound appreciation for how unappreciated sometimes you can feel. I've done that work. And so today I'm lifting you up. I'm standing in the gap for you today and tell you that we value the work that you do. And I want everyone here to know that the work that they do needs to be valued. And it's very difficult work. And so we need to all stand with the social workers in our county who provide services to the most vulnerable in our community, our children. Our children. So thank you again, and I look forward to the hard work ahead.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all of your support.
Commissioner Burton?
Yes, I just want to say again, thank you for all the hard work that you do, but I want to give a shout out to Jovetta Whitfield. I'm on the child protection team, and I went to my first meeting in February, and to listen to the detail of, you know, any child in Durham County, you know, who passed away, and just the care and the thoroughness and just making sure that we're taking care of our kids. And I just want to say thank you it taught me a lot, and I look forward to working with you even more. But I know you guys work really hard, and thank you for the pen to help us remind us of this important work. And I'm looking, forward to working with all of you all. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That now concludes our ceremonial items and moves us into our consent agenda. And I know myself, Commissioner Jacobs, weren't present for the work session. Thank you, Vice Chair Dr. Lee, for leading the board through that. Are there any questions or items that folks want to pull? I did have 2 questions, but I didn't necessarily want to pull 2 items. Manager Hager, the first one, the 250074, the innovative emergency management. So is that to replace the bull alert system, like the texts that go out, or is that separate?
And Deborah, let's see. I'm sorry. I did not call the right name. Nate is the, or Dwayne can talk further on it. We've been working on this particular item for some time, and I know at one point Deborah was coordinating with the PIO team.
With the city.
With the city.
Yes.
And it's been many years, and the emergency management
About
team,
2 years
yes,
we've worked on this.
Yes.
The goal is to coordinate the work that we do when we have a city-county emergency. Think back to the explosion in downtown Durham a few years ago, and how we all had to coordinate that. Think about the shooting that took place a few years ago in Hedingham community. Those types of things happen very often, and you need to have coordination when you are communicating with your public about what is going on. They need to know the proper information at the proper time, and we have been working to get a provider who will come in, write this communications plan, train us so that we both can do a better job. And I'll let Nathan take it from here.
Hey, good evening. I'm Nate Sanders. I'm the Deputy Chief for Emergency Management here in Durham. Deborah pretty much hit it. It is a crisis communications plan it's a joint crisis communications plan designed to work with the City Communications Department and the County Communications Department. It does not replace Alert Durham. Alert Durham is our mass notification system, which we use Rave Alert for, so it's separate. This is designed to have both departments work together, establish a designated PIO in the event of an EOC activation, and help us establish a JIC, Joint Information Center, things like that. So
that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. I had one more question, I think. Oh yes, not necessarily a question, also a comment. For 250163, the easement deed for the sidewalk easement at 750 Stadium Drive. Since we're talking about a sidewalk, I just wanted to throw in there that hopefully we can have a conversation and maybe bring in with our transportation joints, the city and county transportation, about getting more transit options, like a bus stop to the actual stadium, to make it accessible to our community, because we have this amazing facility that a majority of our community can't even, or a large portion of our community can't even reach, and to be able to better utilize it if we have a bus stop.
We'll definitely follow up with that.
Thank you. Those are the 2 comments I had. Are there any other questions or items? Commissioner Jacobs?
I had a comment about a few items, but I also wanted to pull 24-0143, 25-0146, and 25-0167. But in terms of comments, I just wanted to give some shout outs. 25-0183 about the conservation easement for Stagville that is doing mitigation for impervious surface on another project, but it's just so awesome and such a great win-win creative strategy that's going to also help the Durham Rail Trail. It helps Stagville. It helps the Upper Neuse River Basin Association and Falls Lake Watershed. It's just like such a great thing. So I just wanted to say yay for everyone, all of our staff that worked on that. And also, yay on 25-018 and 25-017. I see Tobin back there, and those who are working on this grant, really excited to see it moving forward. Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobs. I'm going to ask you to repeat. So I got 0143, 0146, and then there was one more.
0167.
0167 you want to pull. Okay. Are there any other comments or items for pulling?
Chair, could you give me those numbers again? 0143?
Yeah, 0143, 0146, and 0167. I can read them as well. So 0143, execution of a contract with Summit Design and Engineering Services, Inc. for construction materials testing and special inspections for the new Durham County Sheriff's Training Facility. And 646, did you get them? I realize they're a lot longer titles. Okay. Yeah.
I have them right in front of me.
Okay, perfect.
So, point of information.
Yeah.
And so these are being pulled.
So these will be pulled, and then what will happen is we'll vote on the items not pulled, and then these items get moved to the end of the agenda for further discussion, and then a vote will be taken then.
Thank you.
Then I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda barring 0143, 0146, and 0167.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The consent agenda barring those three items has been approved. Now we'll move to the items pulled from consent agenda. So beginning with 0143, Commissioner Jacobs, you want to raise your?
Yes. So I just, I pulled 25-0143, which is for materials testing for the new sheriff's training facility for $141,405, and 25-0146, which is for design and construction services for the new sheriff's training facility for the cost of $995,925,000. Because I intend to vote no on those, on January 13th, I voted to not approve this project, so I'm not going to vote for these. But I did have a question about 25-0167 on the MAT program. I sent a bunch of questions today, and I apologize for sending them all today. And I didn't know if, I know Assistant County Manager Brinson thought maybe we might be able to get some answers to questions, and I didn't know if any of the, oh, the sheriff's here, great, awesome, or any of his staff. But I had just, and I don't know if you all had seen the questions, but I just wanted to, I had just want to understand further about the item and just was not clear. I understand that this is related to grant funding for about $158,000 from July of 2023, and that according to what's in the item, that about 6,000 plus of that money had been spent. But I just want to get clarification about, did that mean that there wasn't, the rest of the money hadn't been spent yet on the MAT program, or just so somebody could explain a little further about this item?
And Commissioner Jacobs, before they start, we did talk a little bit about this one at the work session.
Okay.
This is a technical adjustment. When a department receives grants, they will need a requirement to carry forward the dollars. There are instances, and we have a few throughout the year, when that reconciliation happens after the amendment occurs for other items. And so this is one that we needed to bring to the board so that we can appropriate the dollars that went to fund balance. And the expenditures that occurred on it for this particular one was the $6,000 plus $6,262. The remaining have already been identified, and that's part of the process with the carry forward to align with the grant for fund use. And so I'll let the sheriff's office speak further.
Good evening, Commissioners. Clarence Burkhead, Sheriff of Durham County. Really, I'll just echo what the manager just articulated. We just got access to the funds. We've been waiting for the funds to be allocated so we can spend the funds. That was held up for some reason, and so now we're ready to move forward and spend the rest of these grant dollars.
Okay, so you have not had access to this money since July of 2023?
Good afternoon, good evening, Commissioners. The grant was awarded in June of 2023, and we did have access the first year, and it's intended to be used for expansion of programs. The first step that we wanted to do with that grant funding and expanding the programs, the first step to that was getting that medical director in place, and that has been held up, so we have not been able to do planning. And then secondly, there's some items we do want to purchase with the funds, but as County Manager Hager said, as well as Sheriff, we have not had access to that money in this fiscal year. And so tonight, we will get access to it, and we will try to spend as quickly as we can before the end of the fiscal year. So we have not had access to the money in this fiscal year, and then in the first year, we were in a planning stage, but logistically working with county management on getting that medical director approved, that has held up some of the planning that we want to do programmatically.
Okay, because I'm confused. Was my understanding that we had allocated funding from the opioid settlement funding for the medical director. So that's separate from this funding.
That's separate from it, but it's critical for planning on that. We submitted the position description for the medical director in October of 23. So we wanted that person in place. That medical director was going to be working with the MAT program. So there's different funding sources for things. The opioid settlement funds was medical director. The MAT program itself is funded through the county, through our medical contract, as well as some positions. And so to expand the program, we're doing it with grant money, but we need those positions in place so we can effectively plan.
Okay, and then the using the Vivitrol, could you tell us more about what that program is going to entail? And I don't know this for sure, but is my understanding is that for alcohol
It is for alcohol as well as for MAT programs. It's approved for that as well. But since the awarding of that grant, the state has opened it up for any MAT type drugs. Initially it was for Vivitrol. That is something that we're looking at in expanding the program, using those dollars within the entire MAT program.
Okay, because the agenda item referenced specifically Vivitrol, so just to get clarity on that.
The initial approval of the funding back in June and July of 2023, at that time only the state would allow use for Vivitrol. Since then, it's been opened up for other things.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And do you have any estimate of how many people could be served through this grant funding, expanding it to Vivitrol or whatever is planned?
As a projection, no. What we have to do is work carefully with medical director, public health, and there's some legal issues because the county funds the MAT program. We don't want to supplant. We want to look at other ways of expanding the program, not necessarily in terms of the number of people that we serve, but in other things with our community partners. Thus far, we're still serving folks. Right now, we have 38 people in the program, and you also asked about the fiscal year. Fiscal year 24, we served 387 people, and so we continue to do that under our contract with our medical provider. Right now, we're capped at 50. We could expand up to 100, but we're hesitant to do so without effectively planning that expansion to serving more people.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the information.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobs. Commissioner Valentine, and then Commissioner Burton.
No, I didn't have any questions.
Oh, okay, I saw you. Come on. Okay, Commissioner Burton.
Yeah, I just have a quick question, and because when I read the consent agenda item last week at the work session. So when office, sheriff's office or other departments, when they apply for grants, that money goes to the county first, correct? Or does it go directly to?
Administratively, the department has to draw down the funds. So it's paperwork that happens between the department and the grantor. And so then the board authorized those additional dollars through an action such as this. At the end of the fiscal year, the department has to identify which grants are considered designated for an activity, and that department would then complete that administrative transaction. It's then identified in our financial statement as a designated item. And so those dollars that are not are then they flow to the fund balance, and that's what happened here. Because we do have reconciliations that happen, and the tick and tie-in sometimes may not neatly fall in the cycle, but we always come back and reconcile because we don't want to overstate that something is designated for a specific activity and the reconciliation has not occurred. So it's not often we haven't, and as you know, we have a pretty large number of grants, many of them small, but we still try to make sure that all those reconciliations, we do, that they meet thresholds.
And the reason I asked that question, because, coming from the schools, if you apply for a grant, it goes to the district office, then it just transfers over to the Pacific office or department. So I figured, okay, if the sheriff's office applied for this grant, then they get their grant money. So that's why I asked that question. Thank you.
Yeah, so to follow up on that, so what is the difference then between DPS and the sheriff's office for them? Like the two?
Well, I would need to see what their it's
Okay.
hard to, the protocols are similar,
Yeah.
I am sure. But procedurally, it could vary from one jurisdiction to the next, what those steps are. But we try to make sure that it's seamless and
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you.
Commissioner Burton, I appreciate you raising that point. It would be great if those funds came directly to the sheriff's office and we could expedite spending those funds and expedite expanding our programs. But unfortunately, that's not the case right now.
And for clarification, that's something that's existed, that's a
Right.
long-standing.
Well, right, if it gets to the department, it's just a process. And the process ensures, from an audit perspective, there's consistency in how we manage our funds. And so, we can have further conversations about that.
Thank you. Commissioner Valentine, and then Commissioner Jacobs.
No, I guess I was just going to ask an additional question. Like, is it customary for that grant money to take so long to get to where it needs to go?
That is not customary.
Okay.
It is not. So procedurally, there may have been some differences that happened that made this unique. And so, but I'll follow up to see what that was.
Commissioner Jacobs?
Yeah, I just want to respond to Commissioner Burton. Usually with grant funding, it has to be, a lot of grants have to be approved and accepted by the Board of County Commissioners. If you notice in our meetings, we're approving grants all the time and accepting them. And then, because it has to be a public process, we're talking about public funding, and there needs to be public accountability.
I think what Commissioner Burton was
yeah.
talking about was with DPS doesn't have to come to the Board of Commissioners for approval. It's their office.
They have their own board.
Yeah, they have their own board. Oh.
That does the approving, right? So they have a whole elected board that does the same thing we do.
Oh, a separate
It's just-
board.
No, the Board of Education.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like, if a department gets a grant, the Board of Education, recognizes that as well.
Yeah, so
In
it's
their
similar.
budget.
Sounds
It's
like
the same
similar.
process. It's just the Board of Education does
Okay,
that.
so we're agreeing on this, the same thing.
It's-
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Then we'll vote on each of the.
Yeah, I just have a comment. I'm sorry. And the reason I asked that question is because I just felt like we're kind of like singling out things. And I'm just trying to make sure I'm clear. I don't want, it just felt like it was a singling out. And I know I may not be in order. And that's why I asked the question, okay, how does this work? Because I want to make sure that we're, not singling out and, things like that. So,
Sure.
Anyway.
Now, I will say, we'll go back and clarify how many grants we have. The DSS folks aren't here right now, but they have over $30 million, $40 million of grants. There are many others. And so it is unusual that we have these situations, but when they do happen, we bring them back. But we have a pretty seamless process that actually starts around this time of year with requirements for a single audit review. And then by the end of the year, we determine what amount needs to carry forward into the next year. And so we have some very tight deadlines with those kinds of things. So, but we'll follow up with those nuanced details. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll vote on these. Beginning with 25-0143. I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval of 0143.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Vice Chair Dr. Lee, second by Commissioner Valentine. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, it passes 3-2. Then 25-0146.
Move approval of 0146.
Second.
Okay, moved by Vice Chair Dr. Lee, second by Commissioner Valentine. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to say aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, 0146 passes 3-2. Then 25-0167.
Move approval of 0167.
Second.
Right, moved by Vice Chair Lee, second by Commissioner Jacobs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes 5-0. Okay, that concludes the consent items. We now have a closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A5. Do I entertain a motion? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Vice Chair Dr. Lee, second by Commissioner Burton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are in closed session. session, I will entertain a motion to authorize the acquisition of easements for Slater Road, Page Park, and Chin Page Road, and to negotiate final costs, and to authorize the county manager to execute purchase agreements and all documents required to consummate the acquisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Valentine, second by Commissioner Burton. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
No one wanted to go home.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Burton, second by Vice Chair Lee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you all.